Hi friends, you're most welcome into the new year. I'm super excited. Welcome back to the M&E YouTube channel. My name is Barbara Nachichova and I'm a monitoring and evaluation specialist. So today we are going to talk about a very wonderful topic as we enter into the new year, and that is budget monitoring. This is a topic that is very crucial for all monitoring and evaluation professionals because when we are monitoring projects, oftentimes donors are looking at value for their money. And how we can determine value for their money is ensuring that the funds that have been allocated to a specific project are actually directed to the activities that are within the approved work plan. And this is one of the very sensitive things that I have seen in project implementation that usually is a cause for clashes, but also a cause of conflict or a source of conflict between monitoring and evaluation specialist and the financial departments of several organizations, because usually there's a misconception to believe that expenditures, they have to be fluid, However, this is something that is systematic. Depending on the approved work plan, then funds will be disbursed towards those activities or to procure those items that have already been approved within a given work plan. So that being said, I want to really share with you a few strategies that you can use as a monitoring and evaluation professional, given my experience, but also experience of other M&E professionals, what you can do to ensure that you don't have, at the end of the day, probably at the end of the 5-year or 10-year project period, you're looking around and you're confused where all the money went. You have no idea which specific activities money was allocated to. These are some of the complaints that we hear from the public sector, where sometimes in the news and we're hearing that money disappeared and there's no accountability whatsoever. So to be on a safer side as the M&E officer or male professional or MAR professional, whichever position that you're sitting in, you have to ensure that you take on this responsibility and you take it seriously, because if you don't enforce budget monitoring, there's a high likelihood that you're going to have a mismatch between the planned activities and what has been spent, or you get at the end of the project and some activities have not been done, but there is no money. You find that you're in arrears. However, the donor requires that you complete all those activities because the monies were disbursed to your organization as per se. So some of the strategies that you can use is, first of all, having comprehensive project planning. So when you're beginning a project, you need to start with a thorough and detailed project plan, which will include a comprehensive budget breakdown. So you need to make sure that you define each budget line item and allocate the funds based on the specific needs, of the project or the program, I might say. And in Sub-Saharan Africa, where we have a lot of challenges with, probably we can say sometimes the weather may cause delays, you have to ensure that when you're generating your budget, you need to plan for these unforeseen circumstances. You also need to look at the costs of labor. You need to be very practical. And one of the tools or the strategies that you can use is by looking at previous projects. You can determine the unit cost of each budget line item depending on a previous project that was, that was implemented. Okay, And then you can also ensure that you have regular monitoring and reporting. For each project that we implement, we need to make sure there's regular monitoring and reporting. And why I'm emphasizing regular is this helps you to have like a monitoring system that allows for real-time tracking of expenditures against the budget. And regular, because now you're able to identify any maybe inconsistencies, any over expenditures, and you catch these in real time, and you sit with your team and you're able to find a solution. Usually what we recommend is using a cloud-based project management system, probably using mobile accessibility to enable real-time reporting. Usually in the health sector, we see oftentimes that they have systems where they input data directly from the field that allows the project manager to monitor the expenses that are related to the healthcare supplies, the outreach programs that have been implemented, and personnel in real time. So that will help you as an M&E professional, but also it even increases your credibility if probably your supervisors are coming in and they are seeing all these systems that you've put in place that are tracking the expenditures on a weekly basis, on a daily basis. This helps them to also easily follow up. Even if it's an auditor who is coming in, it becomes very easy for you to, you don't even have to sit in during the audit sessions because everything speaks clearly for itself. And then I would also advise that you utilize technology as much as possible to streamline the budget monitoring process. So oftentimes we recommend that you use a specialized software or tools that can help you to offer real-time data updates and financial insights. So this can be maybe electronic tracking systems that automates the recording of expenses, and they provide instant visibility into the budget performance. So most organizations implement mobile money solutions for financial transactions, and that has been proven to work. I've seen this working within my organization, and I would recommend this. So it helps you to also avoid, or minimize the risk of mismanagement of fraud, for funds, because the money goes to the end user or to the direct service provider. If you're purchasing probably items that are going to be used for a specific activity, the money does not go to you. Probably maybe you're going to conduct a training. It doesn't go to you, the trainer, but it goes to the service provider who is going to give the service. Maybe they're going to provide meals. Maybe they're going to provide probably IEC materials and things like that. And then we also recommend capacity building for all the stakeholders. This is really key because it helps you to ensure that information flow is the same. It does not deviate from the highest level to the lowest level of the implementers. So we encourage you to conduct sessions for the project staff and the stakeholders who are involved in the budget management. This helps you to enhance the understanding of these budgetary processes, but also to ensure that everyone who is involved is aware of their role and their responsibilities to ensure that the budget guidelines are followed, as planned, I may say. So this you can do through conducting workshops for all these stakeholders on financial literacy and budget management. Then we can also establish clear financial protocols. So develop and communicate clear financial protocols to guide the spending behavior of your project teams. As human beings, we always need rules to guide us. For some reason, we always need the rules to be there. So implement approval processes, for budget adjustments to maintain control over the expenditures. This can be done through, one of the ways I've seen this work is ensuring that we have about 4 signatories for requisitions. If I am submitting a requisition and I want to procure I want specific items procured for my activity that I'm going to conduct, then there are about 4 people that have to sign off that requisition before it is approved. So they don't just sign off, but they have to make sure that they review that requisition and they ensure that it is in line with the planned activities, but also the funds that I am requesting for per each item on that requisition is in line with the allowables within that budget line. When you look at the budget, I need to ensure that I am requesting money that is already allowable, that has already been approved. If maybe meals were planned at 10,000 maybe Uganda shillings per individual, my requisition should not say 12,000 Uganda shillings per individual. I hope that makes sense. And then we also need to undertake a risk assessment and contingency planning. So as an M&E professional, or together with your team, you can conduct a thorough risk assessment to identify the potential challenges that could impact budget execution. So you can develop contingency plans to address these unforeseen circumstances. You need to ensure that deviations from the budget are managed effectively. And in a climate-sensitive projects, such as maybe renewable energy development, we need to conduct a risk assessment for potential weather-related delays or supply chain disruptions. And then again, we also need to conduct regular budget reviews. So schedule these, with stakeholders to assess the progress of planned activities and the financial performance as well. Also engage stakeholders in decision making. I will stress this further. This should be a whole of, it should be more of a whole of all the stakeholders should be involved from all levels, from the lowest level up to the highest level. And then we also need to ensure that we are learning from past experiences. So we can conduct retrospective analysis of previous projects to identify the lessons that were learned in budget monitoring, and then implement improvements based on these lessons to enhance future budget management processes. So in microfinance projects, what we have seen is that they analyze data from previous lending cycles to identify patterns and the challenges that were faced previously. And then they use this information to refine the budget process, ensuring that the funds are allocated more effectively, but also that they're addressing the specific financial needs of the entrepreneurs within that given location within which the microfinance is situated. So last but not least is continuous improvement. We need to establish a culture of continuous improvement within the M&E team. And this we can do by encouraging regular reflection and refinement of budget monitoring practices. We can adapt strategies based on, this feedback, but also where we are seeing the change within the project. We need to go an extra mile to establish a feedback loop with the project beneficiaries and the stakeholders. In the public sector, what we have seen them doing is regularly they gather feedback from the healthcare providers and the communities, and then they adapt budgeting strategies based on the evolving health needs. And this helps them to ensure improvement, but also responsiveness to the local context or to the needs of the project beneficiaries. So that being said, my friends, I want to re-emphasize that effective monitoring and managing budgets in M&E really requires a combination of, meticulous planning, regular monitoring, and adaptive strategies. So when we implement these recommended practices, M&E professionals, I believe, will be able to enhance their ability to ensure that funds are spent in line with the planned activities and proactively address issues that are related to budget lines. So I believe that ultimately when this is done, it will help to contribute to the overall success and impact of projects and programs within Sub-Saharan Africa. Thank you so much for listening.